I think it would be incredible to see the people in this chat start with 100K or a mil and see where they end up, because I guarantee you in 6 months they probably end up at 100x.
All right, I need to take advantage of this situation because I'm with a bunch of gigabrains and billionaires and crap, and I'm just like a lowly back half of the centipede pleb, and I need help. Like, how do I level up? How do I go from the back half of the centipede up to the front half of the centipede? As Prometheus of the plebs, as someone called me on Twitter, I need this advice. I feel like I'm just going to absorb it on behalf of the chat.
Yo. I got the answer to this. You just got to survive in crypto, man. Like, just there's so many guys so many good friends of ours that like either fucking fell sideways due to like the pressure and like they're not here with us anymore, or like they like got torched by being too greedy. I think that the key with crypto has always been just survive. Just keep being there and like you will fall into success.
So to answer your original question, Ledger, like, how do you survive? How do you, make a bunch of money? Like, the best kind of, data point that I have is just kind of like 2017, 2018 bear market. I remember, both Michael and I putting, 99% of our net worth into Chainlink, ETH, and basically, I remember the day we sold our 401ks at the depths of the bear market to buy more of it. And so if you find something that you like, that you have a lot of conviction in, you don't have to be the best at asset selection, but if you are the best at diamond hands, like that's an entirely different Olympic sport that you can usually win at. And you kind of need to goad yourself into being a little bit of a psychopath. But once you get there, it's actually, it's relatively easy to hold these things and, don't look at the charts, don't look at Twitter, it's pretty.
I think that's why I had a natural advantage. I didn't need to do any coaching.
Yeah.
I think you get it something there.
Sorry to interrupt. But I do think the majority of people that don't make it are the people that lose interest between bull markets. Like people that have known about it from so far back who still haven't made it. It's because as soon as it gets frothy, it gets to the bull market, they rebuy the all-time high breakout. So they rebought at like 20K. And they play the bull market. They're a little bit naturally bearish, and the bear market hits, and they stay interested for about a year. And then towards the tail end, like late 2018, 2019, they just naturally lose interest and they go, oh, this shit's over. I've got life commitments, whatever. And then they get back involved when it starts getting frothy again. And those are the people that are not going to make it. So if there is one piece of advice that I can give, is like find a way to remain the same level of interest that you have now when you check the chart every day, you like lose sleep over your positions, whatever the fuck you're doing, you over leveraged apes. Like you need to have the same level of interest when everything's really boring. Because right now it's like everyone's interested, right? Like my like parents are like super in like, what shall I buy? My friends from school way back when are hitting me up saying, is Cardano good and whatever. But none of those people are interested in the bottom. None of those people are interested when it's going sideways for 6 months. And if you tell those people at the bottom in the 6 month sideways, now's the time, they fucking ignore you. They're like, nah, it seems a bit risky. Like, it's not for me. I'll look at it later. And then they hit you up in January of this year, like, is it too late to get in, by the way? And you're like, no, just immediately market buy. It's like 25K or something. It's 30K. And they're like, I'm going to wait for a dip. And at 60K, they're like, is it too late to market buy, like you said? And you're like, bro, I have no advice for you anymore. I told you at 4K to buy. I told you like 6K to buy. I told you at 7K to buy. So the main way you have to make it is try and perpetuate your interest through the boring bit. The boring bit is where the opportunity is, when all these moon boys and all the marketers and all the LARPers, they disappear from Twitter and they don't participate anymore. Their accounts just stop tweeting. That's the bit where you're supposed to be interested and you're supposed to be taking your like next 3 years of positions. Most people that don't make it, they stick around for the fun bit. That's it. Stick around for the boring bit.
I've got a question. I want to know from Sue, because Kobe, I think you nailed it there in terms of how to go about it. But let's get to now, right? Okay, so I'm going to use myself as Prometheus of the plebs. Okay, the chat is with me. maybe they stuck with it. They're up only fans, right? Like they listen. You're somewhere. Somebody like me, you're losing 40% of your net worth at the end of the year, right? Like it's just going straight to Uncle Sam. So there's this urgency right now, except for the fact that we're 15, 20x off the bottom. Like Andrew said, like from whatever you allocated towards the degenerate stuff, yeah, you're up a lot. Lifestyle wise, maybe like things look pretty good. You're doing okay. You paid attention during the last market. You're in this was a good investment perspective, and you feel like, okay, you've got till X time, like say end of the year before the tax man hits or something like that. So where is the advantage? Like where's the risk reward play, right? Is it trying to go another multiple like 2021?
I'll take this.
Hold on. I'm almost done. Is it going another multiple 2021, or is it like go slow, secure the win, and wait until it's like right pickings? You know, like you're picking Bitcoin and ETH up off the floor 2 or 3 years from now, whenever like things do turn sour, and then like you've been there, you got 1, maybe 2 cycles under your belt, and then like you freaking Suzu yourself front half of the centipede or whatever. Like how do you like what's the risk reward bet between those two options, or is it both?
So I think that by this cycle you're fucking cooked. And like this is not the cycle that you're not gonna make like infinite money. This is a cycle that you learn from people who have made infinite money, and you come back the next cycle. And I know you guys all want to make infinite money on this cycle, and it's okay, but like you're gonna get dusted, and you should definitely avoid this cycle, because everyone who is gonna make infinite money in this cycle is already prepared for it like 2 years ago, right? They're like Vance. They were ready 2 years ago. I saw you perking up. they have it, right? Like, and like it's incredibly difficult as a human being to fight this feeling that like you want this now, but you need to hold on until the next cycle, right? Because this market is solely about human beings, and we're all ecstatic. And that's not the market that you're going to make the outsized returns. Regardless of how bullish things are, the market's going to be when like in 1 year or 2 years, or Vance will tell you 3 years or 5 years, like everyone's going to be super depressed about crypto. And they're going to like, when the price goes down, people are going to reflexively believe that crypto is terrible, and like it turned out to totally be a scam. And that's the moment where you're going to get in. And then if you get in there, then you're going to become like a Vance or an Andrew or a Suit, and you're going to fucking print by believing when other people have given up. But you're not going to make the outsized returns when everyone else is convinced the market is booming and that it's the right thing to do. Because if you put your money in now very aggressively, regardless of the EV of it, you're never going to be able to, on a relative basis, outperform other people, because everyone gets that crypto is very compelling right now. But the secret was back in 2011, when everyone thought that this was a scam and it was like a drug dealer's fucking Ponzi. That's when you got the money in. And then you rode the cycle up to 2013, and then you get out. And then in 2017, and now again in 2020, everyone thought it was dead and it was trash, but then you rode it up to here. But here, the relative outperformance doesn't exist anymore. It only exists for the people that were already invested like 2 years ago.
Andrew, thoughts?
Vance, yeah, please.
I think this was a very good monologue. For a bear, I agree with most of what you said.
Yeah, but Kobe's a doomer. I need some hope.
Oh, Kobe, you've been around for too many cycles though, huh?
Yeah. I need
Andrew
Vance Sue.
Sorry, I'm gonna give him a second. I'll pass it over. I promise. I don't want to talk over these people who have bigger brains than me. But I went for a drink with Calix yesterday, and basically told him the exact same thing that Light just said. Like adjust your expectations down for now. The reason $1.2 billion is aping into Faye is because everyone's here with the exact same motivation, right? They want to go from 100K to 10 million in this cycle. That's their goal. What you should be trying to do in this cycle is set your foundation of wealth. If you were not prepared for this cycle in 2019, 2020, is you set your foundation, earn whatever you can, so that next cycle you can make your 10 mil, whatever. But adjust your expectation down, because whatever your portfolio goal is, you're going to get a tenth of that out at best. Because as soon as you get to that portfolio balance, you're going to adjust it upwards anyway. You're going to refuse to sell. So I agree. Anyway, Andrew, Vance, Sue, you're smarter than me, so I want to hear what you say.
Sue?
Also, like, objectively, it's untrue that it's actually been harder to 100x during the bull market than like buying the bear market and selling the bull. I think that's kind of the trope that people like to think about, almost like when they're like no coiners. They imagine these like OGs huddled in a room and they all bought the coins really cheap, and then and then there's the pump, and then the whales sell the dump, and which they all know is coming, right? The kind of that concept. But like, you just think about like even like BSC, right? There's like a new generation of BSC OGs that are up like 100x on some of these coins, and like, you know, and that stuff with like the QEL and that is high. There's Solana people now that are up 100x on various. There's 100x's in Kusama and in Polkadot. There's 100x's everywhere in the bull market, and I think that you could say it's a sign of fraud, but I actually think it's a sign of that there's a lot of activity happening and there's a lot of interest, and I think that, like, for people, you know, going back to the original question, like, how do you 100x now? How do you 10x now? I think, like, you do have to put in work and figure out what things people are showing you are scams and what things people are showing you are the real thing. And you also, like, I don't agree with the idea that because you get in lower at a higher price than someone else, that therefore you don't buy it. That's actually one of the most pernicious ways to think that you can ever have. Because the guy who showed you, if he's right, he did a lot more work than you did, and you should thank him for shilling you that coin, right?
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Multicoin for
right?
killing this space.
Like synthetics, I've been shilled since 2 cents, and you know, Arthur, he sent me a 33-page paper on synthetics, and I said, like, I'm not reading 33 pages of this. And you know, I had no problem buying a lot of synthetics at prices that were far higher than what you guys entered at, and it's still up, you know, 20x since I bought it, and so, like, I think I don't have any ego about buying it higher than someone else. And I think that you shouldn't have that ego either. You should see it as you do the research yourself and you figure out the things that people tell you about, and then you go in and you actually think these are reasonable. Remember, I think I called Rune a scam, and then later on I bought a bunch of Rune because I realized I was wrong. And you know, like, being wrong is okay. But being stubbornly wrong is very dangerous. And you should just actually not even invest if you're stubbornly wrong. You should just actually help people invest for you, because being stubborn in this space is very dangerous. And the idea that because you miss something, that you miss it forever is also a huge mistake. Because, like, missing something early, but then knowing it later but understanding it better actually is a big blessing. Because then it gives you understand why it will now go 20x. Whereas the guy who bought it low, he's now, like, you know, selling it in the 2019 pump because he thinks it's like, you know, know why it's pumping. So if it's pumping and you know why, and you are the reason for the pump as well, then it's kind of, you know, that's actually the perfect storm to really do well. And so I don't agree at all with the logic that you had to be the specific guy who bought the specific coin at this one weird time, and that's how you'd make it. I think there's people making it.
There was.
Like, synthetics was trading at like a major discount OTC, so like people were dying to get rid of this thing. They're like, dude, like, I will sell this at a negative 15%. Like, just like, help me sell this. It's ridiculous.
So yeah, that's the story, by the way, about like markets, right? Like, when you're supposed to be buying, people are desperately selling to you. They're like, please get me out of this. And then, like, when people are like, oh, let me tell you about synthetics, that's when you get concerned. I think it's ironic that, Vance, you guys were in synthetics as well, right? Early on.
Yeah.
And like, you guys knew what it was like when, like, there was no one there. And now, like, everyone's telling you about how great synthetics is. And it goes back to my point that, like, markets are not about fucking assets. They're about human beings, right? Like like we're all trading human beings, and like when they get really depressed about things, we buy, and when they get super optimistic about things, we sell back into them. And that was the only thing that crypto was. It was an incredible speculative vehicle.
All right, we gotta get Vance and Sue on the level up talk, and then Kobe can take it.
Yeah, I mean,
What am I going to do? I'm not signed up for whatever.
Light's perspective reminds me of tech bears, over the past 20 years.
Oh, don't do that
to me. What they didn't realize is that things like Snapchat, which started as a dick pic app, like were actually fun. And the same thing is happening with DeFi today. These are cash flow protected assets, and I'm less focused about who's in the market right now, and are people rotating in and out of stuff. For me, I'm looking at who is yet to come to the market, and I'm in definitely a more privileged position than a lot of people. But the math is very clear. It's a very small door. There's a very fat man that it's about to walk through it, and there's going to be a self-propelling fart,
Gainsey,
which basically pushes the market forward. And so, it's very clear to me that this is a math equation, and that the math is on our side, and also like generational dynamics are on our side. And so if you take a longer term time perspective, it's pretty clear that up is the direction, and there's going to be scary dips along the way. So yeah, I'm really bullish. I basically don't agree with anything the Light said. But yeah, I mean, I think like reasoning through analogy and saying like everyone's already too rich, they can't get any richer. If this asset class is what I think it is, there's basically going to be no upper limit, and there's going to be a lot of scams that pump alongside the good stuff. But people are thirsty for yields, and that comes in a very kind of potent way in DeFi, and it's hard to replicate. So I'm super bullish. I think NFTs will go through their own cycle alongside it, but it's pretty clear to me the direction is up.
So there was a really strong. I've seen Andrew buy things later after he missed them, and that's like super impressive, right? Because like he
Arthur as well.
disagreed. Yeah. I love those guys.
Yeah, I mean, the VCs that I respect the most is that people who have passed on a seed round and then bought 6 months later at 500x the seed round, because they realized, okay, our initial thesis was wrong, or the reasons we passed have now been validated. So we can make a bet on it now, and that means it's a safer bet now. Now the thesis is justified. Like, people that can do that make a lot of sense. People that stick to their soundbite argument about why this is bad, that has been harped on and repeated since however long, and they just don't. They refuse to take on new information and adapt. Those people are not going to make it, dude.
Path. All right, I need to take advantage of this situation because I'm with a bunch of gigabrains and billionaires and crap, and I'm just like a lowly back half of the centipede pleb, and I need help. Like, how do I level up? How do I go from the back half of the centipede up to the front half of the centipede? I think
when do we get the quality Sue back?
I will answer as well, and I'm still listening, but I'm back in a second. I need to get more wine.
Vance, what is the hot sauce? What is the hot sauce on your?
What's the hot
back
sauce?
end
on the shelf up there?
Yeah.
Oh, that's salad.
The people want to know.
It's a salad dressing.
Salad.
So I don't have to be talented at all. I just gotta
No.
You'll fall into success and Zcash.
No.
Zcash was inevitable.
Yeah. Don't do that. Zcash is a very expensive habit. Oh, I have this thing written out. So like, there's a bunch of new guys that are listening to this, right? And like a bunch of old hands that are kind of depressed with where they've gotten, and like, I think all of us probably vouchsafe for the fact that like, it doesn't make you any happier to make more number, and like, it's always been about the friends that you make along the way that make you really fucking happy. Like, That's gotten to the point this cycle.
Sorry, I muted myself. I was gonna say that's what rich people say.
Yeah, right. So if you get super lucky, you get to spout off this bullshit and say, "Oh, it's all about the friends along the way." But it really is, because I think that all of us deep down believe that, like, if we could get a second chance and like get all of our wealth cut down and have like 100K and then get to spend it up in this market, that would be one of the most amazing experiences you could ever have, because you get to test yourself once again. And it was always about the game. For everyone that ever succeeded, it was always about the game.
100K is unreasonably low, honestly. But I'm with you. I'm with you if it's like, I'm with you if it's 10 mil or like 1 mil. I'm with you if it's 10 mil or 1 mil.
All right. I'll put up one or two. I think we can
one or
all
two
put up
BTC. Is that what you're about to pull out a Gap meme?
No, I think.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this conversation just kind of brought back some old memories, like 2 years ago. Vance, Arthur, Chiang, and I were like showing out in like the Synthetics Discord, and at that time, Synthetics was like, like 5 million, like 20 million market cap, and now it's like a few billion. And we're trying to show this stuff to like other investors in the space, like VCs, and like they didn't give a shit at all. It's kind of crazy to see, and the market structure was completely different then as well, because these DeFi coins, like, exchanges didn't want to list them. Like, I was like pinging friends like all day, every day, like, list shit, like, this is serious stuff, like, list this shit, and they're like, no, like, we have like more important stuff to list. And so, like, the only way to get exposure to these coins was on either Uniswap, where it's like you put in $2,000 and it slips like 2%, or on KuCoin, And at the time, like on KuCoin, if you're buying synthetics, like, you know, you had to like buy like $1,000 at a time or else it'd go up too much. And, you know, if you saw $30,000 on the ass, that was considered a sell wall. Like you saw 30,000, like, you know, the Discord would be like, man, like, how are we ever going to, you know, get past this thing, right? Because at that time, that was a lot of money and nobody was deploying the space.
Bro, you were literally buying that synthetics from me. Like, I sold the 2019 pump on synthetics. Like, God, I was like, wait, a pump in 2019? This is amazing. It's a bear market. I got to get out of this thing.
It's like market make these shit coins too. And
the people demand your view on the market.
Up.
Can we get more than one word?
No.
Up only.
Yeah. You're welcome.